So honestly, it's pretty hard to grasp that anybody is as ridiculous as the person from this next story. A 13-year-old boy is recovering after a brutal assault, in Montana over the weekend. Police say a man slammed the boy to the ground. According to witnesses, the man said he did it because the boy didn't remove his hat during the National Anthem. Within minutes after dropping her son off at the Mineral County Fairgrounds, Megan Keeler says she received a phone call stating her son was on his way to the hospital. Quote, all of a sudden, dude come up and grabbed him by his neck, picked him up, and threw him to the ground head first, Megan Keeler, the victim's mother, said. The suspect, Curt Brockway, is accused of assaulting the 13-year-old. The 13-year-old victim doesn't remember much about the incident, but witnesses say Brockway grabbed him, picked him up, and threw him on the ground at the rodeo arena just moments after he walked in. Witnesses told outlets Brockway tried to justify his actions. They say he said he did it because the boy was disrespecting the flag but not removing his hat during the National Anthem. So people like this exist out there. Like, this is a real person. This is a real person who was like, you're disrespecting my flag. And body slammed a boy because he was wearing a hat during the National Anthem. Man, how does one get to that point in their life? I almost hope substances are involved. Because if substances aren't involved, that's even worse. Because, like, you thought about, like, oh, yeah, this is the correct response. Let me body slam a boy because he didn't take off his hat during the National Anthem. The best part of this is, like, people say, oh, the reason this country represents freedom, man. That's why you got to respect our flag. And respect the National Anthem is because we represent freedom. Unless you want to exercise the freedom to keep your hat on during the National Anthem, in which case I no longer support freedom and I will body slam you for not making the decision that I want you to make. Having such a childish view of patriotism always annoys the shit out of me. As if, like, that's what makes you a good person. That's what makes you a moral person. Is that you stand for the flag or the National Anthem or whatever the fuck. You put your hand over your heart during patriotic songs. It's like, that's your view of being a good American. My view of being a good American is dissenting to try to improve the country and make it better. I think you're a really good American if you fought against illegal and offensive wars because you're trying to save not only American lives, but also civilian lives overseas. I think you're a good American if you fight for increased freedom for people. So trying to free nonviolent drug offenders, trying to legalize marijuana. I think that makes you a good American if you fight on stuff like that. These people think this makes them I body slammed a kid for not taking his hat off for the National Anthem, and they also usually try to marry together religion and state. Although, to be fair, I don't have specific details on this guy doing that. I'm just saying he fits the profile of, like, you know, thinking Jesus was in the room with the founding fathers when they wrote the Constitution or something. It reminds me of that picture of, like, Reagan and like, Jesus, and this idea, this mythology of, like, we're the only blessed country, yeah! We're so blessed by God! As George Carlin said, we're a nation founded by slave owners obsessed with freedom. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, like, there are fundamental contradictions at the heart of this nation and the founding of this nation. And it's just kind of, like, ignored or not paid attention to by these types. And this is their idea of being a good patriot and a good citizen. It's like, I just body slammed a boy for not taking his hat off for the National Anthem. When in reality, that just makes you really, really stupid, and it makes you guilty of criminal assault. So good luck with that moving forward.